Welcome to the Impactful Entrepreneur Show with Adrienne Hill, a place for online business industry expertise and thought leadership, where you can build the skills, structure, and systems you need to thrive in business and have a lasting impact in your industry. Let's do this.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another On Fire training session. I'm so excited about this one. I am here with the one and only Mark Harbert, and he started marketing online in late 2008. And since then has generated over 150,000 leads. Let that sink in for just a hot minute. He's created an annual multiple six-figure income and sold multiple millions of dollars of his own courses and affiliate products. Now, before attaining this level of success, he's now enjoying things that, things were not always so good for him. Mark at one point didn't even know how he was going to buy groceries for his family or pay the bills. And so he has definitely gone from struggle to success, and his story is amazing. With hard work, focus, and determination, they paid off in a huge way. He's now reaping the rewards of success. And he even had a single day where he generated over $100,000 in sales revenue. Can you imagine that? He's hyper-focused on helping online entrepreneurs implement automation strategies. So, of course, we had to have him here. And, in doing so, to help them free themselves for the things that matter most in life. Faith and family are Mark's biggest achievements to date. However, the greatest legacy he is focused on leaving behind is that he was once lost, but he's now found by amazing grace. And we're so lucky to have Mark with us here today. So welcome, Mark.
Yeah, great. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me, Adrienne. I love it. So
yeah, I'm excited to dig in. So just in case anyone in the audience has not met you yet, could you tell us just a little bit about your story and kind of what brought you to the space of being the automation king and learning how to use it effectively in business?
Yeah. For me, my entrepreneurial journey, so to speak, started in network marketing, and that started in 2000. And in 2000, that I kind of got the entrepreneurial bug there because the guy that was sitting there drawing the circles, it was an Amway guy, drawing. I think everybody's been an Amway at one point or another. But he's drawing the circles, showing it, and I kind of got this vision of like, wow, what it would be like to live life on my terms, And so that's where it started. I struggled all through that. And about 2008, I started getting, and I had stuck through the home business industry for a while, very little success at it. And in 2008, I was like, all right, it's time to learn this online thing, it's time to starting to get into it. And so late 2008, I started to learn Google, PPC at the time, really kind of going into that. And I just continued trying to learn. And I had a little bit of success. And then I got to a point where I was actually living in Chile with my wife down in South America. And I was doing a lot of VA work. I was building out funnels, doing webinars for seven-figure earners. I'm selling their stuff. You know what I mean? And I'm thinking, and they're only paying me peanuts for this. Why am I not doing this for myself?
Totally.
And so I got to a point where that kind of work started drying up, and I literally had no money. I had no idea how we were going to buy groceries. The real pivotal point for me was I was in my office and I came out, and my wife's there in the kitchen, and she's got the refrigerator open. She goes, "Honey, we need food." And I'm like, oh gosh. And this moment of utter disgust came over me, this hot feeling from head to toe. And I'm like, I am so sick of feeling like this. And I don't know what happened, but something snapped, and I just went hardcore, and I just went into massive action. I was staying up till 4 a.m. I'm doing things like a madman because I had to make money. I have a wife and daughter that were counting on me, And 90 days later, I had my first 5-figure month, and that was it. It just kind of took off. And next thing I know, I'm getting invited out to trainings and in front of huge audiences. And, next thing you know, my business is just exploding, And I'm like, I don't even know what to do with all this money, trying to figure out and it just kind of took off. And that's the way it's been ever since. So now my focus is really helping other people do the same. Because I know what it's done for me. I love what I do. I work hard at what I do. But when you love what you do, it's not really work, And so for me, I love digging in, helping people have breakthroughs like that and Because really, honestly, for me, it's never been about the huge houses and the Lamborghinis, and I could care less about any of that. For me, it's like I can go on vacation when I want, take my wife out to lunch, go to my daughter's something at school, in the middle of the day. We just went a week or two ago to an art thing in the middle of the day. Didn't have to ask anybody. To me, that's what it's about, really.
Yeah.
And so, my goal is to help other people do that too.
Yeah. The simple pleasures, the simple everyday freedoms.
Yeah.
That when you have it, life is just so much calmer.
It is.
More relaxed.
Yeah.
Well, what I love about your story that I hope, the audience is inspired by is, and I think they'll notice a trend too, almost all the speakers started in a place of struggle. Like we were not good in the beginning. We rode the struggle bus right into hot mess city. It wasn't good, right?
Yeah.
But we each had this moment where we just decided the pain of staying where we were was greater than the pain of learning something new.
Right.
We were ready to go out. We were ready to say enough with this business.
Yeah.
Like I'm getting serious and it's right now.
Yep.
And that's what you did.
Yep. Yeah. It really is. Like, I think it's kind of stinks that we have to get to that point sometimes, like where your back is against the wall. You have no other place to go. And that's where I was. I was in that moment where I was like, oh crap. Like I there's nothing else. Like I got to make something happen here. And I remember my wife saying, honey, you might have to go get a real job. I thought, oh, hell no.
No, that is not happening. Like, I will figure this out. Well, and it's interesting that you had these amazing skill sets. You were making other people millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And you finally realized, like, maybe I should do this for myself.
Yeah. That was really it, too. I mean, it was like, I just remember thinking, I'm like, boy, I created this automated webinar for these guys selling their stuff. And like, they're paying me peanuts, which, okay. But it's making them a lot, and I'm like, I need to do this for myself. And, part of it too was the confidence level. You got to get to a point where you actually believe enough in your own abilities to be able to do something. And I think that's also where it hit me too. All of that kind of like converged on this one moment where I had literally $7 in my PayPal account. And, when I was living in South America, I couldn't even go to the ATM to pull it out because you needed at least $20. And every time I pulled money out, we got a fee of like $4 because it was international. So it was like, I couldn't even get that money out.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, I'm so glad that you decided to step into your power and step into your knowledge and, do it for yourself. So now I know in your business, right?
Yeah.
You use automation in such a smart and seamless and strategic way. And I know so many of our viewers, they're terrified to use automation because like they don't want to come across as they're a bot or a robot, like they're inauthentic. And so can you talk to us just a little bit about, is it possible to use automation and still come across as authentic and real and connect with real people in a real way? Yeah,
100%. So the whole idea of automation is not to eliminate this idea of people interaction, It's like you and I, we're sitting here right now talking. Yeah. You know what I mean? This is what I do. I get on calls all the time and talk with people but the systems that I put in place allow me to really leverage myself. So a very simple idea of automation is if you have a course and you sell that course, when somebody buys that, imagine if you had to go and once somebody buys it, now you got to go manually set them up a profile, create a password, and then send an email to them to do that. Manually, you had to do that.
Or like sending my invoice even.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I got to, type out the invoice and send it out. And so with automation, you can automate all of that. So the invoice gets sent out using certain softwares. The password gets created automatically. It populates the email, which then goes out automatically and does all of that. I don't have to touch it.
So administrative things are fair game for automation.
Oh, 100%. 100%. And that's one of the biggest things as well. And I can go through all kinds of different scenarios. So one that I love to use, and I really implemented this a couple months ago, and like the idea of it is just, it's crazy the responses I get back. And I'm always about the idea of, I want the people that really resonate with me to contact me. Like, I don't want to go chasing people. I don't do that. I hate it. Like, yeah.
Same.
Like, Yeah. You either get it or you don't. And my goal is just put as many people into that and let the thing do the work. So one of the things that I did, I have a monthly membership that I do. And so one of the things is, in some cases we allow a trial. It's like a $1 30-day trial inside the membership. And so I was like, how can I really make this like a personalized thing? Like, I want them to know that, hey, I see you, like, because there's nothing greater than like somebody saying, hey, I see you, I'm here. No matter how big it is, like, if people get that idea, like, hey, they see this guru and he doesn't care about me, I'm just a number.
Right. Yeah, you don't want to be a number to someone. You want to matter. Everyone wants to matter.
Right, exactly. That's my point. And I'm like, I really want people to know that, hey, I care about it no matter how many people we get in this thing. And so I implemented it where after 14 days inside of my campaign, it sends an automated text to them. And it'll just says, hey, Adrian, this is Mark. I noticed you've been a member now for 14 days. I'm just curious. How are you digging the training? Are you liking it? Totally open-ended question. And so what happens is the way I have it set up is when they reply back with the service that I use, it creates an email, which then emails me in my inbox, my personal inbox.
Hey, you better go check this out.
Well, it sends a message and I just open the email and I can see what they've replied back with. And then I can reply back to the email and then it texts them back. So I'm just in my daily, thing, I can get in there. So this email goes out and I've had people go, wow, Mark, thank you for like texting me. It was the last thing I expected. And they're like, I'm loving it so far. And it's great. So I've had conversations going back and forth. I'm just sending emails back and forth. But the point is that it was all automated. It was a little way to touch base and it made the initial contact. So when I've got, people coming in, they get that little personalized message from me on a text.
Well, and I think this is a perfect example. So for those of you watching, I hope you're paying attention that yes, people might join the membership on autopilot. And yes, they might get that very first message on autopilot. But the minute someone responds, right? Because only the most engaged people are going to respond. There's going to be a bunch of unengaged people who just ignore it, of course. Right. But the engaged people who actually want dialogue, when they respond, they get an authentic response back from you.
Yeah.
But the automation did like the first 3 or 4 steps to get you to that point in time where then the real person takes over.
Exactly. That's what it's really about. And so I'm not eliminating myself from it, but I'm eliminating a lot of the steps that get people to reach out. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's where I'm always, looking to automate in some way because, there's only so much you can do. And, I could look at every single one every single day and then be bogged down with the idea that, I need to text this person and text that person. But if I can automate that, and it's just worked beautifully. So.
Yeah. Which is so valuable. And I'm sure there's lots of different circumstances where the automation kicks into a point.
Yep.
And then it triggers you that it's time for an authentic response.
Right. Yeah. And that's it too. So, you just have to really think through your processes and like how you can really make, do that. Because I'm like, like you said, a lot of people are scared of the idea. I don't want it to feel like a bot. And sometimes the best thing is if you are using a bot type thing, just laugh at it and go, yep, this is what you expected, a bot, sorry, this is my little bot assistant thingy, but this will help you, so you can play it off if it's a bot, and people get that, they're like, oh, okay. Now even know if you kind of pretend like it's not, then people can kind of read through that. But if it's obvious,
say like this is a bot.
Yeah.
But I want to check in and say how you're doing. And if you respond, you're going to get a real person.
Yeah.
So tell me, how you doing?
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
You can be real.
Yeah. Absolutely. As long as if there's that way to, keep the communication open. And this is just one tiny example of hundreds of different ways you can implement these types of things. But in the end, it really is about connecting with the engaged people. Like when you introduced me, I have generated a lot of leads. It's probably well more than 150,000. I'm just trying to be modest here, but it's been a lot. And when you really get down to it over the years, out of all the leads I've generated, I've got my list down to a very tight, engaged audience.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it's maybe a tiny fraction of all the leads I've generated, but boy, it is an audience that buys up almost everything that I create, you know, and every single time I promote one of my products, people buy it. And that's what you're really looking for. Like the idea that people have, like, you got to have this massive list and a massive audience to build a multiple six-figure income is just not true.
Yeah.
And when you use automation to help you leverage a lot of those, you know, those processes, it really makes a difference. And you can really, you know, stay engaged with those who are engaged.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, because what would you rather have, a prospect list or an email list that's, you know, massive, but has a 1% open rate?
Yeah.
Or would you rather have like a small, reasonable size list of prospects or leads that the open rate is 30, 40, 50+%?
Yeah.
And they're actually reading what you send and they're actually engaging with you. And right. And so you're saying if you use automation in the right places at the right times, you can absolutely have a highly engaged audience.
So I'll give you another example too of how I use automation to get people to, so like for instance, let's say you create a lead magnet and so you generate a lead, they come in, the first email goes out with the lead magnet download or whatever. One of the things I put in all my emails is, can you do me a favor? Just reply back to this email and let me know that you were able to download it okay. I just want to make sure I kept up my part of the bargain and that you got what you, because the whole idea is I don't want them to opt in for it and then, you know,
never use it,
never get it or whatever. But there's a couple things, there's a couple reasons why. Number one, I want to connect with them. So when they reply back and say, hey, I got it, thank you very much, or whatever, I now have an opportunity to reply back. So not only is that you're connecting with the audience, but the email service providers like Gmail and Yahoo and all these ones that you're building your list with, they like to see that two-way back and forth. So that helps with deliverability. It creates a whole thing. So even when it comes to the email list and automation, I'm always encouraging people, like, treat your email list like it's not a one-way communication. You know, a lot of people think of it, like you said, people have big lists, but they get very little engagement because it's just pitch. They look at it as, hey, I can just send out offers all the time. Not me. Like, I look at it as I like to elicit responses back too, because it gets that back and forth going, you know? And, it creates a whole different experience for the audience.
Right. And I'm imagining back to that point in time when you were struggling, you were like, where are we going to get the groceries? Right. And you had that moment.
Yeah.
You were like, it is go time. I'm not playing small anymore.
Yeah.
I imagine that prior to that point in time, you may or may not have replied to emails that you opted into. But after that, if you got an email that said, hey, reply and let me know that you got, like, you were probably more apt to reply because you were serious, you were doing it, you were engaged.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Always the engaged people that reply.
Always. Mm-hmm. The people that are really in there, that are doing it. And I'll tell you what, you know, this is where people fall into this trap of automation where you cannot automate everything. Like, you cannot, and this is a huge mistake that a lot of people make. Is I was just talking with a big marketer today, who's a great friend of mine, and was just saying, and this marketer, I don't want to say she or he, but this big marketer was, you know, just, they love automation, you know, and the whole idea is like, hey, I want to do as little as possible, you know? And I was like, hey, you know what? Work in a few of these things. Look, I understand I'm all about leverage too, but imagine if you, with your community, just one time a month, show up on a Zoom and just open it up for open Q&A and hang with people. You know, there's no prep. There's no prep. You don't have to do anything. And, you know, even though you're doing automation, like, just hop on there and let them connect with you. You'll create an audience that'll just, I think what people are craving more than anything is some of your time.
The gift of time is the most valuable gift.
It is.
That's the
And so as much as I love automation, I'm never going to eliminate, like, getting on the phone with people, connecting with people, because number one, I enjoy it. But number two, it's vital. Like, there's people that will never buy unless you get on the phone.
Oh, for sure.
You know,
I mean, and at the end of the day, everyone wants to feel seen and heard and understood.
Yeah.
And there's automation can start the process, but really there has to be real human connection somewhere in there
Yeah.
for people to feel seen and heard,
Yeah, absolutely. As great as social media is, it also creates a disconnect, I think, a lot of times. Like, we're more connected than ever, but we're farther apart than ever too.
Yeah.
It's like things like, Zoom and whatever,
We're craving that real connection.
Yeah. People want authenticity today, like in a huge way, and I think that's, if you can just showcase that in a video or getting on a call or talking with somebody, it's pretty amazing though. When you can add that little personal touch, like I said, with the text, people are like, wow, Mark, I can't believe you're texting me. And I'm like, well, my automation kind of did it, but here I am, replying back and forth and having that conversation with you,
But it's super smart because you're only replying, you're only giving your personal time
to those who, you're right,
to those who really deserve it and crave it and want it, because there's no way you can engage with all 150,000 plus leads you've ever.
It's impossible.
Right. And would you really be helpful if you tried? How good of a coach or a friend or a mentor can you be to that many people?
Right.
Not great. But if you narrow it down to the ones who are truly interested, you can be a huge impact in their business.
No doubt. 100%.
Yeah. Wonderful. So I'm hearing administrative tasks. That's a must. For sure. Yes. Automate that stuff.
Huge.
Some of the initial connection points when you're prospecting a lead, engaging with a lead, building a relationship, whether that's through email, text message, whatever that may be.
I think email and text are really the primary ways. That's where I'm focused. I really take a different approach, as far as I'm really super crazy about the email list and the text list. Like, to me, that's what it's all about. Like, I don't own anything else other than those two things. You know what I mean? Like, my social media could go away any day. So I don't focus on building my social media. I could care less how many subscribers or followers I have. Like, those are all vanity metrics to me. Like, they don't matter. Yes, it'd be great to have this massive thing, but all I care about, let me get people on the list, and then I can use my email list to drive out and build out those things. So in other words, like, if you were to focus on getting a lead in the email, you could have very simply what we call an indoctrination sequence, to where in other words, indoctrination is where they get to know you, where you could have a series of emails go out in tandem to maybe an offer. Because at the beginning, when people are on your list, they're a little bit more receptible to getting multiple emails. You only got a few times though that you can do that before they get annoyed. Yeah. But in the beginning, they're a little bit open to that, where you could have a couple emails go out that just say, hey, are you on Facebook? Come on over and connect with me over here. But that's all automated. You know what I mean? It's come on over and connect with me in Facebook Messenger, or are you on Telegram, or whatever.
Wherever. Yeah.
Wherever. Yeah. Come on over here. I'm on these places. I'd love to get to meet you.
Yeah.
So again, now people
use automation to offer that authentic connection moment.
Exactly. And you can do that in all cases.
Mm-hmm.
So, and like if you're building a Facebook group, same thing. Focus on the email first, get them on the list, then drive them to your group. Right. Some people focus on getting them in the group, then I get them on my email list. I'm kind of the other way around. Like, I care about the asset first, then I'll build the non-assets. They can be assets, but they're fleeting assets. They could go away anytime.
Right. Well, and I think a lot of people, they feel like followers are like king of the mountain. Like, it's all about your social media followers. But like you said, you could lose, your profile could be restricted. You could be shadow banned. You could be kicked off the platform. You could lose. Any of that stuff can be taken away from you. Yeah.
Facebook groups are great, but imagine if you built your entire business around a Facebook group and it got ranked out from under you and you had no email list backing it up. You're screwed, man. You really need to have the email list. So what I do, and I find this works really good, and it also helps me to engage people in my Facebook group, my paid Facebook group, is when I have something and I want people to engage with, I'll post something in the group and then I'll email them, hey, I posted something in the group. I really want your opinion. Go in here. So that just supercharges the engagement in there, because people want to see what it's about, and you're kind of forcing the engagement in there.
So you can kind of cross-populate, use the automated email.
Yes.
And say, hey, I put poll in the Facebook group. I really want to know what you think.
Yeah.
So now people are going back and forth. There's like this cross-population going on.
Right. So if they don't get the email, then all the engagement in the group, Facebook starts focusing on putting it more in front of people. So I kind of just, it's not that I don't use all these platforms. I just kind of twist it around a little bit. And I'm more focused on like, I only care about is getting them on the email list. Right. Once they're on there, cool. Now I can send you in all the different directions that I want. Right.
And if you lose a social media platform, you can always email your list and be like, go figure. I got kicked off of Facebook. Like,
hey, good news is we got another group we set up. Come on over.
Right over here now.
Right. Exactly.
Here's where I'm hanging out lately.
Right.
Exactly.
So, but those are some of the ways, but yeah, so those are the most simplest ways that I focus on just connecting with people is getting people to reply back and forth in the different, communication avenues.
Sure. So email, text, or like message, DM.
Yeah.
Whatever platform.
Message, DM, whatever platform it is. Right.
Okay. And so you start with automations, but they only go to a point, and then that's where the real person takes over.
Yeah. And, I have people buy stuff all the time and I never talk to them, so it's not that you have to. I have some lower end courses that I charge, a couple $100 for, and people will go into my funnels and they buy those, but the people that, if I want a high ticket coaching client or, 5K package or something, you're going to have to get on the phone for that.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I ain't spending $5,000 until I talk to somebody.
Well, man, who would? Everyone would. And there's some people out there, they realize like they've taken course after course after course, and they realize like, I just need a real person. It's kind of like when you're on hold somewhere and you're like, person, operator.
Right.
Like, I need a real person.
Right. It's exactly it, And I was just that marketer I was telling you I was talking to today. One of the things that I said was, I think people today, people, they want to buy courses. I think people get it. They need to buy courses. And we do. I buy courses all the time. But I think what people really are craving today is community. Yeah. Like you just said, people want to know that they're heard. They want to have a place to go if they need help. So that's where really, a good Facebook group can come in handy, And if you don't have a Facebook group, build a forum in your own site or something like that. Yeah. I'd say a Facebook group first because people are on Facebook anyway. So your own site isn't going to get as much traction, but
But I know that there's this interesting movement where more and more people are getting annoyed with Facebook.
Yeah.
Seeking other areas, right? So,
yeah,
that works too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so helpful. This is so helpful to know that, yes, you can use automation to give yourself more time freedom. Streamline a lot of the administrative tasks or a lot of the, what I call the manual hustle. Like we can manually hustle ourselves to death on our phone, glued to our phone 24/7, but that's no life.
Yeah. I'm not for that. Like,
yeah.
Especially
if we're using it in the right ways, we can absolutely, we're still interacting with people, but it's only the most interested, most engaged people.
Yeah. And that's really the whole purpose of automation anyway. The whole purpose of automation is let it do the heavy lifting for you. Let it do the sifting and sorting. So I get a lot of people too that, students are like, but every time I send an email, I get unsubscribes. I'm like, that's exactly what you want. Like that means it's working. Like imagine if you had to get on the phone with every one of those just to say you got 10 unsubscribes on an email. Imagine if you had to spend 15, 20 minutes on the phone with each one of those to find out they weren't interested. That's a lot of time.
Yourself a whole bunch of people who were going to waste your time.
Yeah. And that's the whole purpose of a good funnel. Let it weed out the people. And so you're only talking with those that are really interested.
Yeah. So now there might be some people watching who are like, hey, I'm all about the automation. I totally get this idea of automating to a point and then a real person takes over. But everything I put out, everything I try to say on social media or email or whatever, like it's not landing. People aren't responding to it. Like, I don't think I'm saying the right stuff, So for the people who they get the concept, but they need help with knowing what to say and how to say it. Yeah. Do you have any advice in that space?
Yeah. Well, it's really a matter of, so you got to know your audience, know your audience really, really well. And, I think when it really comes to, posting, especially if you're, on social media, it has to be a mixture. I mean, if all you're ever trying to do is like, get people to respond to your posts, that are business related, I really don't think you're going to get the biggest response. Like, on my Facebook the other day, I mean, my daughter's really into this Japanese anime. Like, she loves it, So she has this wig that she bought that they like, it's called cosplay. So I throw this thing on and I take a picture of it and I post it on social media, it got freaking major engagement.
Just being a goofball. Just being yourself.
Yeah, just being a goofball. Like, be yourself. And I think sometimes people forget that's kind of why people are there in the first place. So, when you put out, it can't just be all business all the time, because I think that's where people kind of, like, oh, I've seen this before. They kind of get into this idea of like, I've seen that before, heard that before. Yeah. But, when you do like kind of these funny things or just being yourself, being a goofball, like a good friend of mine, her name's Lisa, and she put out this video, the whole thing with Will Smith that just happened.
Yes, I think I'm also friends with Lisa. And
Lisa Torres. Did you see that video? It was hilarious. She puts out like this, it was like a half video, like, and she's like talking to Will Smith and he's sitting there just kind of listening. And it's just so funny. But man, she is, she's from the Bronx. So she's got that hardcore kind of
she has that funny humor.
But she attracts people that way.
I follow all of her stuff because she makes me laugh, and then every so often I'd see one of her business posts and I'm like, oh, damn, that is good.
Yeah, I know. That's my point. So it's like, I think people, like, we're so business minded sometimes that we forget people are there to socialize and have a good time.
Yeah.
And that's really the whole spirit of it. So there are times where I will make a post about business or something and I'll get a response from it. I can't tell you how many times, like, I've just dropped a thing. Hey, I've got like 2 spots open in my mastermind, my weekly mastermind. If you're interested, hit me up. Just that simple.
Yeah.
And I'll get messages like, hey, I'd love to know more about that.
Yeah.
It wasn't like some crazy long post that let me get the copyright, and I'm like sitting there trying to get it all dialed in. It's just like, hey, here's what's going on. And you'd be surprised. People just need to.
Short copy converts so well.
It really does. So again, it comes back to authenticity. People are really craving that. And I think when people give people a little window in, don't take it so seriously all the time, like just have fun with it. And I think, it's not to say you can't put those posts in, that you shouldn't come up with something that really tells a little bit of a story and kind of leads into a business, but keep it, change it up. I would say the majority of the time, have fun. And then the rest of the, every once in a while, drop something in there. And hey, I just created a new guide all about this,
Like, who wants it?
Yeah, who wants it? Oh, I want it. One of my clients did that. He created a new lead magnet and he goes out there and he's like, he's got a picture of him holding a hard copy, and he's like, hey, I just created this. If you want it, let me know. They got like 40 leads like that.
Yeah, just like that.
Yeah.
So now he used really smart copy though. And we were kind of talking about long copy, short copy.
Yeah.
For the people who are like, I am not a copywriter and oh my word, I like those few times when I'm like, I need to make a business post, but I do not know what to say. I know you have a gift that could actually help them for those times, those moments where they're ready to make one of those business related posts. Do you want to tell us about the gift?
Sure. So I put together this, I really put it together a couple of years ago, but it's just been such a great little tool. And it's called the Copywriting Power Words Cheat Sheet. And it's like over 300 power words. And the whole idea of the power words is where they're just, descriptive words that you can add into like your copy. Like I was just telling you before we got on here, I sent an email today and my subject line on it, and I've got it right here.
It was how to like reduce your learning curve or something?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's what it was. The subject line was how to reduce your learning curve. But in order to really make it grab more, I added in the word drastically. So how to drastically reduce your learning curve. And so that one little word takes it up a whole different notch. So you add in these little descriptors. So it's like if I was to say, how to lose weight, but what if I said how to lose weight fast?
Yeah.
That's a different. What if I said how to lose weight fast and easy?
Right.
That's a whole different thing. So the Power Words cheat sheet just basically helps you have those extra words that you can think of. There's like greed words, like, like it kind of appeals to like a certain type of thing, like winnings or, whatever. There's different emotions that these words can elicit.
Sure. So it's just like, take whatever normal sentence you wrote and just up level it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. See, like, can I insert one of these little words to make it like, make it pull a little more.
Yeah. Make it just land just right. So what a great gift. So you guys, if you are realizing, okay, I need to get some smart automation in place that'll lead the right people to having those authentic exchanges with me, but I need some help with like the copy that'll get them to come to me in the first place.
Yeah.
Grab Mark's gift. It's a super abundant and generous gift. So thank you for offering that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I know you have something special for people who are VIP ticket holders. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Of course, automation is my thing. Like I love, and I know how to do all kinds of marketing, video marketing. I mean, it's all implemented in my thing, but what I really like to do is help people put together that, that core little offer funnel. So I have a training that I put together, and it's a case study, and it's basically how I used automation to make over $18,000 in 4 days. And it was just all hands off, like, and it's pretty powerful, but I show you the numbers. Like I actually show you how I did it, and I did it several times, and it's a really cool training that goes into it. It'll really, show you, give you an idea. I actually lay out some of my campaigns, how I kind of put stuff together. But it's all about automation, and giving you some of that time back, because there is nothing more exciting really than waking up to commission emails.
Oh, for sure.
Well, that's what's nice.
It's one thing to learn the concept of how and where to use smart automation. It's a totally different story now when you get to pull back the curtain and see how someone actually implemented it step by step and how it actually came to life. Yeah. Like the details, the guts of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I go through in the training. And I really show you some of the numbers on it and, just how I implemented it. But it really is a very simple, training. And it just shows you how I actually go through and I show like top marketers online. Like I pull out some people, that very familiar names. And I'm like, let's go look at their website. Okay. Here's what they do. You opt in, they have an offer. Oh, here's an automated webinar. Look at that. This is like all this automation and like, this is how these guys are doing it.
Yeah.
And so I really lay that out in the training and show them, how the biggest marketers are using automation. So if you really want that ability to kind of go big, you really need to have it in place. Again, not losing that human touch. I know more. And that's really what it's all about. So I know big marketers out there that are scaling massive, but they still have that human touch. And that's what's really, important. So,
and case studies are so helpful. So you guys, if you love the idea of like an inside look at like case studies of how this is done in real life, how real people are actioning some of these tips, be sure to grab your VIP ticket. If you don't have it yet, why don't you have it yet? Have that. Take a look at the case study and to really see how it's broken down, because it's conceptually understanding it is one thing, but seeing how it actually comes together, that's a whole different story. What a valuable gift. Thank you so much, Mark.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. My pleasure.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Impactful Entrepreneur Show. If you found amazing value here, like, subscribe, and leave us a review to help other people find the high value content that we share, and find us on social media so we can continue the conversation. See you in the next episode.